It was a crisp Christmas Eve in 1927, and the town of Northfield, nestled in the snowy wilderness of Canada, was at peace. The air was thick with the scent of pine, and the stars twinkled like diamonds above the town, reflecting off the snow-covered rooftops. Inside the homes, families gathered by the fire, savoring the warmth and joy that only Christmas could bring. The gentle sound of carols filled the air, blending with the laughter of children eagerly awaiting Santa's visit. For the Burns family, however, this Christmas would be unlike any other they had ever experienced. The Burns family lived in a modest home at the edge of town, far enough from the center to enjoy the solitude of the woods, yet close enough to be a part of the community. Jacob Burns, a hardworking farmer, and his wife Elizabeth had 3 children, Jonathan, the eldest at 15, Megan, a curious 12-year-old, and Frederick, the youngest at 8. Their home was simple, yet warm. Elizabeth had spent the day preparing a hearty Christmas dinner, while Jacob had worked late into the evening, finishing the last of his chores before the holiday. The children were busy with their own excitement, getting ready to leave cookies and milk for Santa before heading to bed early. The evening was calm, peaceful, and filled with love as the Burns family finished their dinner. Afterward, they sat together by the fire, sipping hot cocoa and listening to Christmas carols on the old gramophone. The children eventually grew tired, their eyes heavy from the festivities. Elizabeth and Jacob tucked them into bed, their hearts swelling with joy as they wished them sweet dreams of Santa and reindeer. But what the Burns family could not have known was that their night was far from over. As midnight approached, a strange sensation hung in the air, a quiet stillness that was almost unnatural. The wind outside had stopped, and there was a feeling that time itself was holding its breath. Jacob, who had been fiddling with an old tool in front of the fire, paused and looked up. He thought he heard something faint, a soft rustling sound from outside. It was too subtle to be the wind, too deliberate to be an animal. He stood, his instincts kicking in, and moved cautiously toward the door. The snow had been falling steadily for hours, and as Jacob opened the door, a shockingly unexpected sight greeted him. There, on the doorstep, was a pile of gifts, wrapped in fine, colorful paper, some large, some small, each one tied with red and gold ribbons. There were no labels, no notes, no signs of anyone who had come to leave them. Jacob stepped out into the cold air, staring down in utter confusion. It wasn't the gifts themselves that shocked him, but the sheer mystery of it all. How had these gifts appeared so suddenly, without anyone noticing? There were no footsteps in the fresh snow, no tire tracks or sounds of a sleigh. Jacob bent down and picked up one of the packages. The paper was of excellent quality, unlike anything he had seen before. It felt almost as if it had been chosen specifically for him. Jacob brought the gifts inside, his mind racing. Elizabeth, who was sitting by the fire, turned in surprise as he entered. Her expression shifted from confusion to disbelief as she saw the stack of presents in his arms. "Where did these come from?" she asked, her voice trembling with a mixture of curiosity and concern. "I have no idea," Jacob replied, still stunned. "But whoever left them, they knew we were here." The children, hearing the commotion, rushed down the stairs. Their faces lit up with excitement when they saw the gifts, but the mystery surrounding their sudden appearance was not lost on them. "Are they from Santa?" Jonathan asked, wide-eyed. Elizabeth and Jacob exchanged a puzzled glance. No one had come by the house, and there were no signs of anyone outside. The only explanation seemed to be that it could have been Santa himself, but this was something more extraordinary than they could comprehend. As the family gathered around the gifts, they began to open them, one by one. The first gift was for Jacob, a fine new set of tools for his work. He had mentioned once, months ago, that he needed a new hammer and chisel, but he hadn't had the money to buy them. And yet, here they were, exactly as he had envisioned. For Elizabeth, there was a beautiful lace scarf, one she had admired in a shop window many times but never purchased due to the expense. For Jonathan, there was a leather-bound book of sailing adventures, a gift he had always dreamed of having. Megan received a delicate porcelain music box, one that played a lullaby she had heard at a friend's house and had quietly longed for. And for Frederick, a wooden toy soldier, just like the ones he had seen in a catalog and had mentioned in passing, yet never expected to receive. But the most extraordinary gift of all was found by Elizabeth. It was a small, velvet box, tucked beneath the pile of presents. She opened it carefully and gasped. Inside was a family heirloom, an antique necklace that had been passed down through generations of women in her family. Elizabeth had lost it years ago, and despite searching everywhere, she had never been able to find it again. Yet there it was, returned to her as if it had never been gone. As the Burns family sat in stunned silence, the full weight of the situation began to sink in. Who could have known about their lives so intimately? How could anyone have known their deepest desires and unspoken wishes? How could they have predicted exactly what each person in the family wanted? The answers were as elusive as the mysterious visitor who had left the gifts. The next morning, the Burns family woke up to find the town bustling with its usual Christmas morning cheer. The children were excitedly playing with their new toys, and neighbors came by to exchange holiday greetings. But when the family went out to inquire about their mysterious gifts, no one had any answers. None of the other houses in the village had received presents, and no one had witnessed any unusual activity the night before. It was as if the entire town had been unaware of the miraculous events that had unfolded at the Burns home. Some people believed it was simply the magic of Christmas, the work of Santa Claus himself. Others speculated that it was the work of an anonymous benefactor who had somehow learned about the Burns family's needs and desires. But no one could explain how it had happened. The gifts were too personal, too perfectly chosen, for anyone to have simply guessed what the family wanted. As the years passed, the mystery surrounding the Christmas gifts only deepened. The Burns family never learned the true identity of the person, or being, who had left them their miraculous presents. Some still believed it was Santa Claus, while others thought it might have been a stranger who had somehow known their wishes. But the question of who had left the gifts, and why, remained unsolved. For the Burns family, however, the memory of that Christmas remained a cherished part of their lives. Every year, as they gathered around the tree, they would remember that magical night when their lives had been touched by something truly mysterious. They never forgot the sense of wonder and gratitude they had felt, nor the deep belief that sometimes, miracles do happen, even in the most unexpected ways. The story of the mysterious gifts, of the true Santa Claus of 1927, lived on in the town of Northfield. It was a tale that was passed down from generation to generation, a story that inspired wonder and awe in the hearts of those who heard it. Whether it was the work of Santa Claus or something far more mysterious, the story served as a reminder that the Christmas spirit is about more than just gifts, it's about the magic that can touch our lives when we least expect it. And for the Burns family, it would forever remain an unforgettable Christmas miracle, one that would keep their hearts warm for years to come.